timing out so perfectly for the first time ever. We are in a fresh best of 3, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Base Trade TV and NOG, the National Association of United Gamers. Potentially a new sponsor to esports, I say with a question mark. Make sure that once you're done with today's event... Wait, oh, wrong logo. What? I picked Root Gaming. Sorry about wrong logo. Big... Want to remake, or are you... I specifically picked Root Gaming. You saw it. Everyone in the lobby saw it. And now my face is probably gonna flood chat. Okay, good luck. All right, Vibe's gonna be cool about this, and he's gonna make Rifkin sweat less balls. So thank you, Vibe, for being a cool dude. Of course, Vibe is from the team Root Gaming, but I clicked it. I know I clicked it. Whatever. Anyways, Game Heart Lite has some cool features, logos included. Unfortunately, we don't get to show the correct one this game, and that's my bad. I'll accept responsibility. But it's a brand new best of 3. This one is worth $100. 75 to the winner, 25 to the loser for one best of 3. It's probably the best of 3 you're going to play all day. I'm Riffy, joined by Zombie Grub and Partoof, and Spawny here in the upper right corner of the map, playing for Root Gaming. Root for Root! Guys, give it up for Vibe.
Are you sure it's not Root for Rise?
I hate you.
In the bottom left as the red Protoss is NonY.
You know what? No, because... in the regame, we had the right logo, so it's not like I didn't know. Whatever. Anyways, we'll just leave it. No point kicking the dead horse. We're getting messed up. Now, Vibe actually has said several times. First off, Vibe, a very frequent visitor to Wednesday Night Sprites. If you guys have never seen that, that's Chanman's show. He gets together with people like Levy B, Smix, Tempo. They play like Bailing Assault, the arcade games. They have a lot of fun. But last night, as they were talking about the show match towards the end of the episode, he basically said PvZ is his best matchup, and he was actually looking very forward to this match today. So... I'm a little bit curious to see how he'll fare against NonY. Vibe, of course, did quite well in WCS last season. And NonY, on the other hand, though, it's weird to consider because he's not someone you really see as, like, the biggest contender, right? Like, he's not going to be the next WCS champion. But that being said, he plays incredibly effectively. If you've watched his stream, while he might joke around, he also plays, like, mechanically intelligently, which is so cool. Like, he's the guy who abuses recall on the warp mothership core rather than just kind of go YOLO with the time warps.
New Foreigner Hope incoming. He's actually... he should have really good mechanics. I mean, he was a Brood War player for the longest time, like right up until StarCraft 2 came out, in fact. He actually won, I believe, the Courage tournament, and it was kind of unfortunate timing, which, if for those of you who don't know, was a really, really difficult tournament to get your pro gaming license back in Brood War.
Chat's got it right, too. Chill toss for the win. Absolutely, guys. And of course, Vibe has this overload over here real quick. Scott's what's going on. It's a quicker Nexus, but he knows it wasn't Nexus first, so he's not going to do anything too crazy, but he is still going to take that quicker third, which I got to say is kind of necessary. Not only do you need it for the extra income, the economy from a third base mining is fantastic, but that larva is everything if NonY were to suddenly be like, guess what, surprise, 5-gate all-in or something.
The Lings are going to die here.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. They didn't get into the main at all. If they got into the main, that would have been a big headache, because they would have just run around all day. Now, gotten some good scouting off, but right now it's just going to be not very much to see until at least another minute. And as we can see, Vibe's Overlord's already over there ready to sack for just a little bit later, on like 7 minutes, I guess. Maybe 6:30.
Small call out to the Root fans, by the way. I see. Apparently, I didn't know Root has like I guess an actual logo or an emoticon in chat. So whoever you got to subscribe to for that, if you guys are in chat and rooting for Root, I want to see those logos supporting your team player Vibe.
Well, it's a really, really Roach Warren. That is a 540 Roach Warren from Vibe right there.
Yeah, this is, with 3 bases like this, it's looking quite similar to something Hyun does. Not necessarily involving Banelings, but very aggressive roaches. He hasn't taken a lot of gas, and there are no evolution chambers down, so this is either him getting a very, very early defensive Roach Warren, which is highly unlikely, or him wanting to put on just a tad bit of aggression.
It's got to be the latter. You can wait up till like 6:30 is actually some of the earliest defensive Roach Warrens you can get if they're going to do like a 4-gate or something like that. 7 minutes is like usually the standard, so it's got to be for the offense. Maybe just, how much gas do you have? 4 roaches? Well, that's actually not that much.
No, not really. Not for now. Like I said, Well, actually, he did scout that NonY had gone for a gateway opener, and the problem is when you go for the gateway opener, like chances are you want to move out, and we do see NonY in fact starting to move out a little bit. So, Vibe, despite the fact that he may or may not have a ton of roaches to pay on the next larva cycles here, he should have enough to defend against this. There's 4 sentries with this, but knowing NonY, chances are this will be a recall out of here and won't lose too much.
Yeah. And as Overlord got in there too, saw that there weren't any other gateways, just the 2 at the front, and of course the one that he made as a gateway expands. So it's only going to be 3 gateways. These 4 roaches, I mean, and I guess the queen help as well will definitely deal with it. It's so sentry heavy that, I mean, it's just force fields right now. And NonY knows it, so he's going to just walk away from this.
Yeah, it doesn't have to expend any energy. Realizes like, all right, if my opponent only had a couple lings, I could have taken that, but with roaches, no way in heck. Now he's going for those quicker weapon upgrades, which I do like seeing versus Zerg. I think, again, he was expecting lings, not roaches this early, though. But regardless, weapon upgrades are going to pay in quite nicely later on, whether it's for your Colossus in the late game or whether it's for your Zealots to do a little more damage to anything trapped within force fields.
Evo Chamber also goes down once you get those upgrades. You usually see both the Roach Warren and the Evo Chamber at the same time, but of course Vibe. He also might have just known that NonY likes to walk out at that time and didn't want to be caught by surprise by having no lings and only just queens. So maybe they're actually, they must play each other a lot on the ladder, right? So.
Well, they have known about this match for about a week plus at this point. They also could have done some studying, or at least I know Vibe probably would. That's one thing I got to give, by the way. A lot of people don't appreciate how much players actually put into something even as small as a show match. They, like, for example, Sasquatch is a very dedicated player who will go and hunt down like hundreds of replays if he can get his hands on them, even if it's for like a no prize money best of 3. Like, competition in StarCraft 2 is fierce. Yeah. And whether they've played each other a ton in the past, whether it's just like studying, I don't know. But one way or another, Vibe does look like he's been prepared and ready for whatever NonY was going to bring at him. Now, this is a large sentry force, and they do have a ton of energy as they did not need to expend any earlier. And there's not a lot of roaches right now. The Hydralisk Den is on the way, and the Hydralisk Den will be fantastic, but... Or the Hydralisks will be fantastic as they're finishing up here just a sec as the den did complete. But this third base, I don't know that he can hold this, Zombie Grub.
Oh no, that is forfeit. And even if it wasn't, he could always just snipe it and recall. But Vibe was completely caught off by surprise in this attack, and it's only off 3 gateways. This is why it's so surprising.
The recall.
No, it just recalls. NonY's showing some really interesting PvZ, honestly.
He loses 1 Zealot for that, ladies and gentlemen. 1 single Zealot. And this is what I was talking about before. Like, it's said as a bit of a joke, because not a lot of people abuse it the way he does. But in my opinion, that's the best way to use the Mothership Core right there. What we just saw, it's not the overcharge for defense. It's not the time warps to catch the Hydralisks. It's to snipe off a base and get out scot-freaking-free.
Yeah. It's just, with attacks like that, you expect a lot of gateways, so you scout them. Or at least a proxy pylon that they have to wait for, and you're going to scout, right? But NonY, with that recall, just walks past all that creep, and there was a lot of creep, goes straight up into the third. Usually you get some time to prepare as a Zerg, but with what NonY's doing, you don't at all. And that's pretty cool. And he's even going back out here again. Does he have another recall? He does. So just clear up some creep, and then if worse comes to worse, call back home.
There's actually, I gotta bring this up, there's a video NonY has where he like does a recall and accidentally leaves 1 stalker behind to like barely finish a hatchery, like with its last dying shot type thing. I think it's called like Calculated on YouTube or something. Highly recommend you guys watch it if you're enjoying NonY's recall antics. But continues to press on here. There's, again, a lot of creep, but it's been cleaned up already in quite a big way. He knows that Vibe's going to rely on this for map vision, and has completely stripped him of it.
It was some pretty good creep for his EVP, too. Like, usually you see 1 or 2 creep timbers and that's it, but he was actually dedicating a queen to it, so it's a little sad to see it all gone. I'm sure he'll continue with it, though. We have 5 gateways coming down. That's on 3 base. He's going to be at quite a good production. Hasn't gone up to a tier 3, though, yet. Oh, just Immortals and gateway units.
This is also a large amount of Hydralisks, and Hydralisks are quite effective against everything that comes out of the gateway, well, except the force fields. That being said, though, these Stalkers do have Blink. And with some crazy Korean micro, NonY can take a fight straight on, even without those sentries available to him. Whether he wants to devote to this, we're going to have to see. He's definitely posing a big threat, and Vibe is a little bit worried. He's spreading his Hydralisk, knowing that he's got to dance around these force fields. Forces that big blink forward, and the Hydralisk and the Natural retreated too far. They're not involved with this fight. Some stutter stepping goes on. Drones are pulled, and looks like the Mothership Core is out of energy, so no recall antics this time, but he's not going to need them.
I don't know about that blink forward. The Hydralisk is ripping the Stalkers apart, and that was a little bit of a... I mean, actually, that was a really big misstep. I don't want to say a little bit. That was a huge misstep. He wanted to go back and do what he did before. Go up to the third, force field off the ramp, but the force fields were completely just not
Whiffed.
there, and only half of the army was fighting most of the Hydralisks. So that, NonY was in a great position, and he just threw it all away.
Yeah, if you guys have never seen it, Blink Stalkers head-on versus Hydralisks don't really work unless you're Blink Micro in the back one at a time. You're pulling the back with that meticulous micro to retain them and have their shields regenerate behind the line of fire. But now it's Hydralisks that are just simply outnumbering NonY. The army supply 81 to 44. It's going to take a miracle to hold, and we've even got a Swarm Host follow-up behind this.
Oh, he's just reinforcing with gateways. Like you said, not too great against Hydralisk. He's finally blinking them as they should, but that is that's more Hydralisk than Stalkers. They're still going to win out for NonY, especially with the reinforcements. He has so many gateways. He's really relying on gateways rather than that tier 3 Colossus or Storm to help out here, but Vibe is pushing forward, is going to go into the third. He doesn't have a Militia Core 4 cannon. That died along with that push, so that third's probably going to go down.
Absolutely. He's going to need to sack it, too, because any Stalker he loses right now means he's going to have even less defense for his natural base. But looks like he's going to try to go gung-ho on this. More reinforcements streaming in through the form of Zerglings. We'll try and take out these Hydralisks. Zealots go down like they're nothing, though. And the Immortals, of course, they still hit hard, but they don't get any bonus damage versus the Hydras. And as we see, he's being chased back once again. These Lings are proven to be a big problem. The Zealots, they might have charged, but they're not going to connect to any of these Hydras anytime soon.
NonY's having a big problem with spending his money. He has almost 1,000 minerals, and he just can't warp in enough. And of course, he's not using his robotics facility maybe as much as he would like to. And the third, it does go down.
Yeah, Zealot's going to move on forward here, try and get the connects to these Hydras, but unfortunately, as we see, everything's just going to crumble underneath this. And what's scary is, as you point out, there's still Immortals being produced. There's no Colossus on the way, and there's Swarm Hosts coming. And without Colossus, you really have no chance of dealing with Swarm Hosts effectively.
No, I think Vibe identified that with that second push that didn't do so well, that, Colossus weren't going to be coming out. So pushing in a Swarm Host is really, really smart. 12 on the way right now is going to be a complete surprise to NonY. He's only on 2 base, really can't afford to go up to anything else right now. But he might try.
Well, there's actually not too many Hydralisks left in this initial force. Actually, these aren't charge lots. I thought they were. My mistake. But the Zealots here, they'll keep the Zerglings back, which is great. But again, the problem arises, here come the Swarm Hosts, something that NonY is not currently prepared for.
Now, is he an observer right now? He's getting one right now, lucky for him. But that's just one, it's the smallest part in defending against Swarm Hosts, getting an observer. The biggest part is getting up to the Colossus, not to kill the Swarm Host, but at least to stop the Locusts from just wrecking your army. And you need at least, you need more than 2 Colossus to even do that. NonY not in a great position at all. He's gonna have to just deal, take the damage and not really give any back.
The Lings are a big problem too. Lots of free units. Every Locust, by the way, has about the same damage as a Hydralisk. It's got the same attack speed. It has got the same damage. It just doesn't have the range and it can't shoot up. That being said, though, he might not have a lot of physical Hydralisks. He's got a lot of makeshift Hydralisks. The Wall of Zerglings is quite cool. I love watching Ling Hydra, and we're seeing just how effective it can be. Although, no wall off, no full warp in properly. He does try to warp in the main to block it out, but the Zealot just slightly out of position, so Lings do get everywhere. But unfortunately, there's no mining going on in the main. So this run-by is already being not that effective just because there's nothing for it to kill. That's how bad of a situation NonY's already in. And looks like good game will be called, and game number 1 will go to Vibe.
That's very unfortunate. NonY was in a great position about midway into that game.
Yeah, it's a best of 3, so it's not over yet, which is really important. Vibe versus NonY will continue in a few moments, guys. Again, we're going to be running some ads between each of these games, so do stick with us when we get the next lobby up, and we'll see you guys in a few moments.